I'm Tonya G, and welcome to the chat room. Today we're chatting with actress, producer, and playwright Ruby White about her new movie, It Ain't What It Looked Like. Joining Ruby is the movie's director, Harold Lyle. Both are Mississippi natives, and we thank you both for being here today.
We thank you
so much.
Yes, indeed. So why did you write this movie?
It started out as a play, bringing focus to domestic violence and teen peer pressure about, how boys pressure girls, young girls into having sex before they're really ready.
Mm-hmm.
And God gave me this vision, and I put it down pencil to paper, and it was just there. It ain't what it looked like.
So what goes into filming a movie? What are all the moving pieces, and how long did it take you to actually film the movie?
It took us about 4 years because the different personalities and the characters and the different locations, and we had people that was willing to help us for no cost. Mm-hmm. And it was just a lot, and it was fun, and thank God for Harold for pushing me and keeping me focused, and his wife Ree.
Yes.
I started out years ago about I started out writing about 2009. I heard a voice told me to get a dress and go buy a dress and a wig and put it on, and I did. And I asked God, I said, I did what you told me. And I said, but I need a name. And he said, Eugenia Tisdale. And that's how I come up with the name. And
is that
a character
in this movie?
In this movie,
okay.
Yes. And I wrote my first play. It was called Mimic, Breaking the Curse of Abuse Through Prayer, Hope, and the Word of God. And It Ain't What It Looked Like. It's my second play. And Go ahead.
It seems to be a theme around domestic violence. Is there a particular reason why you choose to write about that?
Yes, because I'm a survivor of domestic violence.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been in a domestic violence relationship for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
I was young. When I was young, I fell in love with this boy. Mm-hmm. And he was the love of my life. And I thought I couldn't live without this man, but we went through so much. The relationship was really rough. Mm-hmm. We was just like oil and water together. But
and through that relationship, it helped you to write these plays and these movies to kind of get through that as therapy, I would guess, and to show other women the path not to go down, I suppose.
Yes, and it's like you see me, but you don't know what I'm going through.
Right.
If you see me with a happy face, you just see a happy face, but it ain't what it looked like.
Hi, I'm Tonya G with your Insurance Minute. A final expense life insurance policy is also often called burial insurance. This type of insurance policy is designed to pay any cost associated with your death. The amount that the insurance policy pays out depends on how much you pay for the premiums during the life of the plan. Some people have a clear idea of how they want their funeral or burial to be, while other individuals do not care one way or another. Whether you have the perfect funeral planned or simply do not care what happens to your body after you die, it is still important to note that any type of funeral that is planned for you will not be cheap. The cost of a funeral is not something you want to leave to your family to come up with. Most people cannot afford to spend upwards of $10,000 all at once. If you do not want this burden to fall on your family and you do not have the cash ready to pay for your cremation or burial, final expense life insurance policies are there for you. Let the KPG agency help to ease the worry of this financial burden. Contact us today to start your policy. So tell me, how did you meet Mr. Lyle here, and how did he come on as director for this movie?
I had a friend that she was the
set director.
Yes, the set director, and
For your play?
yes, and he was the photographer for her, and he saw just a little bit of it, and he wanted to know who was this lady who wrote the play.
Right.
And so she called me, and she said, Harold want to make a movie out of your play. And I said, yeah, for real. For real. Because, you know, we was doing the play, but sometimes we would have about 40 people there. And
Right.
then another time we might have 15 people there.
Right.
Sometimes we might have 10. But
what did you see?
Sometimes the vision is deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Some talent.
Exactly.
I saw the talent. I saw there was practicing. I saw there was rehearsing, and it just blew me away very quick. It didn't take much.
So talk about your duties and your role as director. What exactly do you bring to the film, and how are your talents used in this movie?
Well, with this project, I wanted something on my portfolio dealing with a movie. You feel me? So I saw what they had. We took a chance. We talked about it. We had a vision for what we wanted to do. I told her it was going to be some trials and tribulation. I told her how hard it was going to be. I told her everything before it even happened.
Yes.
And I told her, just let me put my hands on this project, and we'll make it through.
That's right. So what are some of the trials and tribulations that you
People.
went through? Scheduling.
Yes.
What were some of the hours like?
So most of the filming was in Florida.
In Florida on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of times we got kicked out the houses. It's okay.
Yes, we met some powerful people that helped us, and we appreciate them.
So what are some of the locations? Florida, and where else did you shoot?
Bentonia,
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, and I think that was it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the cast members, did they come from being in your plays? How did you go about casting for this movie? How hard was that, or how easy was that?
It was very easy. About 6 of the characters was original characters that started out with me 10 years ago in the first play, Mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I brought them on into the movie. And the other people, I was just scoping around town, like that person.
Did you post it?
Miss Ruby got that gift of gab.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to really post it to hold auditions. It kind of
I held auditions.
happened organically.
I held auditions, but only 2 or 3 showed up. So we used who showed up, we used them. So it worked out well.
Well, if you're dealing with something so traumatic as domestic violence, how do you get authentic performances out of actors and actresses?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from?
So one of the lead artists, which is
Ashanti Wansley.
Ashanti Wansley, thank you. She was in the play, so I saw her do her thing, you know, from practice.
Mm-hmm. And I told her to get into the character and feel what the character feels, and just bring it alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You felt like she did that.
and
She did a good job.
She did a good job.
Oh,
She
yes.
did a wonderful
Outstanding job.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So is writing something you always wanted to do? You have a background in writing. It just, how did it come to be?
No. A lady named Herdestein Wilkerson, I was in her play. She called me to be Big Mama in her play. And my character was recast.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt some type of way, you know, because I was enjoying it, you know.
Right.
And so one day I was at the kitchen sink washing dishes, and I said, Lord, I want to write me a play. And I heard a voice that pick up a pencil and write. And I said, huh? And I heard it again, pick up a pencil and write. And I went and got a pencil and a pad and started writing, and that's where it begins.
How do you think about all these characters and what they'll say? And I mean, how does that play in your mind? How do you do that?
I mean, it's just God. It's just God.
That is a talent. That
Yes.
is a talent. So Tell us about the premiere of the movie. When is the movie going to air and where?
The movie is slated to be released on May 8th at the Alamo Theater downtown. It's a red carpet affair.
Okay.
And I would love for everybody to come and enjoy the movie with us.
We will be there. We most certainly will be there. I want you to talk about just women following their dreams and young women and girls who are looking to get into writing or being in the entertainment field. What words of advice would you have for them?
Just follow their dreams, follow their heart, listen to their inner heartbeat, and don't let nobody tell them that they can't. Don't let nobody tell them they can't. And they don't have to compromise themselves, just be themselves and know who they are and believe in themselves. Just like me, no matter what I went through, I knew who I was,
right,
and I knew who I belonged to. And so that kept me.
And what do you want them to take away from the movie? It ain't what it looked like. What do you want the audience to come away with having watched that?
I want them to come away feeling empowered, feeling good, feeling that they can go on no matter what things, what situation is, they can make it through.
That's right. Hi, I'm Tonya G with your Insurance Minute. When most people think about life insurance, they think of having a policy that will replace their income after they pass away in order to help their surviving loved ones. However, life insurance policies are not always about replacing income. Many people do not realize how much funerals and burials actually cost. These final expenses can be quite large, which is why it is important to understand different life insurance options, such as final expense life insurance policies. When it comes down to it, the real point of life insurance in general is to make sure your loved ones are taken care of after you're gone so that they do not have to drastically change their lifestyle. If your family is faced with paying unexpected bills after you pass away, it could cause them to make difficult financial decisions they are likely not ready for. The KPG agency can help to answer any questions and ease the burden in knowing your final expense wishes are in place. Contact us today to get your policy started. What words of wisdom or advice would you give to up-and-coming Black men that are looking to get into directing or photography or owning their own business and being an entrepreneur?
You can do anything you want to do. Claim it and work toward it. Simple as that. I started off doing audio engineering just for fun. Mm-hmm. I come from a music background, played trumpet and drums, and took one trip to California and changed my life.
Really?
Yes. And once I witnessed what I saw in California, exercised what I did with the film, I asked one person, can I film your wedding for $100? I just need to show what I can do. And God has blessed me to average over 60 weddings a year. So
that's a blessing.
Yes, indeed.
Blessing. Any last words you want to leave with us, Miss Ruby?
Baby, I was so nervous, I'm telling you. I had to break that Eugenia tears that voice out. Baby, I'm telling you, this is the hardest thing I ever had to do. I'm sorry. That's my Eugenia Tisdale voice.
Is that who we're gonna see in the movie, Miss Eugenia?
Yes, and she's a mess.
Yes.
Is this the lady who was in the trailer when you were on the porch and you got scared? You were talking to another lady. You said, "Let's go on back in the house."
Yes, that's Eugenia Tisdale. She's a mess.
Well, I look forward to seeing the movie. I thank you both for being here and joining me today. I want to thank Ruby White and Harold Lyle for chatting with us today. You will find more information about them in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Viral Stream TV. I'm Tonya G, and thanks for watching the chat room. Click here. Hi, I'm I'm Tonya G. Tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Tonya G Show. Let's talk health, politics, business, and more. Interested in being a guest? Email us at viralstreamtv.com. Streaming live on Viral Stream TV on YouTube, powered by the KPG Agency. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1. Yes, we are live. Welcome to the Tonya G Show. Today, my guest is RATOYA GILMER, Esquire, Managing Partner with GILMER and Green Legal Group, PLLC. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So, a couple of weeks ago, we had your Managing Partner, Raphael Green, here, and he talked about his specialty. Let's talk a little bit about what you do.
Yes, I'm primarily handle the matters of the heart, as we refer to them. That's domestic work, the child support, child custody, adoptions, guardianships, divorces, things of that nature, and the probate work. So say, for instance, somebody passes away, they don't have a will, or even if they do have a will, I'm primarily the person that will handle those types of issues.
Do you find that a lot of people don't have that stuff taken care of?
Yes.
How important is it to take care of that? What do the people need to do?
It really is important. I've talked to them blue in the face about handling your affairs. I know in the Black community, we normally don't like talking about death.
Yes.
Even when my grandma passed, it was something she didn't want to. Well,
Oh,
you
my
know,
goodness.
y'all can
Yes.
have, my kids, and you don't think your kid would fight about it, but they do.
It's so much
Over the-
internal fighting.
Yes,
go
over
on.
the smallest things. Even if you think I just got a house and this one bank account, and you think my kids ain't gonna fight over that, they do.
They will.
And so it's very extremely important. Even if you write it down, have two people to sign off on it, have a will. Even if you have a power of attorney, have a power of attorney. I know one thing COVID has shown us how important these things are. You never know.
Right.
You can go in the hospital, be fine one day and go in the hospital the next, and then you need somebody to decide if you're going to be put on life support or not. And so having a healthcare directive is very important. Okay. And it also will detail if you want to be placed on life support, if you want to receive pain meds, and what you want to happen if you pass away, how you want to be buried, things that we primarily think, well, my people will handle, but they really aren't in the right mind to handle those types of things.
Right. Talk a little bit about, I want to skip to divorce a little bit. Mm-hmm. I have a question here, and you tell me, if a spouse has bought a house prior to getting married, let's say the husband has bought a house prior to marrying his wife, what are the rights that the wife has to that property? Or say she wants to buy another home, what would be the I guess the method, or how would she go about doing it, and would the husband have rights to that house?
Yes, one of the things.
It's kind of a two-part question. I'm sorry.
A lot of times we see people have houses before they're married, and then you think, well, I bought it before we were married, no prenup, and the spouse moves into the home. And so the issue becomes, in Mississippi, there's a such thing as commingling separate assets. So it was separate until you got married and your spouse moved in. Mm-hmm. Once the spouse moves in, it's deemed a marital home. Okay. If that's the home you both resided in during the marriage, it's deemed marital property. Okay. So even if your spouse isn't on the mortgage, even if they're not on the deed, they still have the right to make a claim to it. And so if there's any equity in it, they can request that they get half payment of the equity or so forth. The issue becomes, a lot of times you have to, even if you buy something once you're married, you have to keep those things separate. So say, for instance, I'm married and I wanted to buy a house. I will buy that house, but if I use that house for, say, rental property, I will have to have a separate bank account, because once the funds goes into my joint bank account, my husband can say, well, I want to make a claim to this.
To the new house.
The new house, because those were funds that you were using for the benefit of the marriage.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of times I see people who have been separated for a really long time and just living separately, don't think, hey, I don't need he's living his life, I'm living mine. I don't need a divorce. If you pass away and nobody else is listed on a deed, your spouse has claim to that house. And so a lot of times I tell people, one thing COVID has shown is handle your affairs. A lot of people have came into my office been separated 20 and 30 years, and it's
I know
like
a lot of people like
yeah,
that.
you got to handle your affairs, because once you pass that person is still an heir. They're still your spouse. You're still legally married, and they still have rights to certain assets.
Now, why do you think a person would stay separated for so long versus just, tackling the divorce? Just what are some of the things that you encounter with why they haven't gotten divorced?
In Mississippi, it's really hard to get a divorce. You would think it's easy, but it's
Really?
not. We don't have true no-fault divorce. The easiest way that we have divorce is irreconcilable differences, and both sides have to agree to that. And so a lot of times you see one spouse saying they want a divorce, and the other one wanting it, but not necessarily willing to sign paperwork, because you both have to agree to property divisions or agree to move forward with the divorce. So I've seen a lot of spouses say, well, I'll just wait you out. And so that's one of the issues I see a lot of times, is that other spouse being unwilling to sign paperwork, move forward divorce, even if they have a whole completely different life there.
Hold that thought, RATOYA. Don't forget, we are live streaming on YouTube at Viral Stream TV. Share the link, stream with your family and friends outside of the Jackson Metro.
Y'all keep it locked. It's BDAY 99.1.
Looking for a new career that offers flexibility and endless earning potential? Explore a career in final expense. No experience necessary, health insurance benefits, residual income, and more. Now hiring agency managers and agents. Visit thekpgagency.com or call 601-500-2751 to get started today. COVID has shown us life is not promised. It does not discriminate against race, gender, or age. Do you have life insurance coverage to protect you and your loved ones? Visit thekpgagency.com or call 601-500-2751 to start your policy today. Streaming live on Viral Stream TV on YouTube, powered by the KPG Agency. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1.
You're watching Viral Stream TV.
Yes, I'm back with RATOYA GILMER Esquire with GILMER and Green. We were talking about waiting your partner out in divorce. What are irreconcilable differences?
So basically, it's just saying that issues present themselves and you're not able to reconcile your marriage, so you want to proceed with a divorce based on that alone. So not necessarily fault. And so there's a difference in Mississippi. We have fault-based divorces, those things like abandonment, adultery, habitual use of drugs, anything of that nature, habitual cruel and inhumane treatment, and those are normally the ones where you see cases of domestic violence. We use that, so it's fault grounds. And so the difference between the two irreconcilable differences and fault grounds, irreconcilable differences is easier if you can get your party to agree, your spouse to agree. And so it's a 60-day waiting period. Both of you all will sign a joint complaint for divorce. You'll sign a property settlement agreement, and if there's kids involved, a child custody and child support agreement. And so a lot of times that's an issue. You'll have a spouse that's not willing to pay child support. And so you're not able to get a divorce based on irreconcilable differences if they're not willing to move forward based on that. And so that's a lot of times the issue we see in Mississippi, people who are just stuck, because it's expensive to litigate a fault-based divorce. You have to draft the complaint, pay the filing fee, get that person served, and a lot of times people don't know where people are.
Right.
And so, of course, you do a background search, find last known address, try to serve them there. If that doesn't work, you publish in the newspaper, and then you still have to put forth testimony. You got to have some witnesses, and so it gets expensive. And so a lot of times people don't choose just not to handle it, but there are ways. I know Irreconcilable Differences divorce, Mississippi Volunteer Lawyers Project does a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And so even some fault-based divorces, legal services may handle. And so there are avenues or and locations where you can go to handle those things. But a lot of times people it gets expensive, and it is, like I tell my clients all the time, it's really emotionally draining.
It is. Listen, I could talk to you about this for the whole show. You're going to have to come back so we could just talk about divorce, because I have a lot of questions about that. But I do want to move on to another area that you handle, expungements and misdemeanor defense. Talk about expungements and what that looks like, and how, I guess, what would qualify to get a record expunged.
So expungement was one of the first things I did when I started practicing law, and I've been practicing for 7 years now. And now I'm president of Magnolia Bar Association, and we have statewide expungement clinics, and that is a great tool for people. I've gotten people who have got better paying jobs, things of that nature. You normally think, one of the misconceptions is people thinking that things have been dismissed because the prosecutor said, well, it'll just be dismissed and it's not going to show up on your record. Well, that's not the case. So say, for instance, you went to jail a long time ago for shoplifting, and they dismissed the charges, and you thinking, okay, it's not going to show up. You go apply for this job, and it shows up on the background search. You actually have to expunge your record, and it's actually going in, petitioning the court for an expungement and getting a judge to sign off on it. And then it's sent off to headquarters that houses all of that information, and they will expunge it from your record. And so a lot of times it's very important. There are certain ones that you can get expunged, like most misdemeanors, anything that has been dismissed, anything that hasn't been prosecuted within a year. And there are certain felonies, shoplifting, malicious mischief, just a few. It's not everything.
Right.
And so a lot of times I get calls, not violent offenses like murder, things of that, rape, things of that nature. And it's really a avenue for a second chance. We all make mistakes.
Exactly.
We all make mistakes. So a lot of times we see people using it now. I've gotten clients to call me back, bake me cakes, because it was holding them up.
Exactly.
It was holding them up, and we've used it as a tool to really push for some economic stability within our communities. And so that's why we host it every spring. And a lot of times you see it now due to people thinking, well, I can't vote because I got certain a charge. But that's not the case. Most people think you got a weed charge, you can't vote. That's not the case.
Gotcha.
Most misdemeanors, that's not the case. And so there are certain things that you can't vote with, but however, with certain things that you can get expunged, more than likely you can vote. And so if you can get an expungement, more than likely you can get vote in the election. So we kind of doing both hand in hand due to the November election. But one of the things I like to tell people all the time is, even if you don't think it's expunged, call somebody.
Call and you need to find out.
And ask somebody.
You won't know unless you ask.
Yes, you will not know. Most people do it.
Hold that thought, RATOYA. Don't forget to watch us streaming live on YouTube at Viral Stream TV, powered by the KPGAgency.com. We help people with life insurance.
I'm Tonya Gray with your Insurance Minute. Final expenses, including the cost of a burial or cremation, can cost a family upwards of $10,000. Many people dedicate a portion of a life insurance payout to covering these costs. Some other common uses for a life insurance payout include paying off your debts, making mortgage payments, paying funeral costs, setting up an inheritance, paying estate taxes, paying medical bills, or just maintaining a certain standard of living. When deciding whether or not to buy a life insurance policy, it is important to start by determining the purpose of the life insurance policy and the amount of desired coverage. The KPG agency can help you determine just how much life insurance is needed and the term length you should consider buying. It is also important to consider the monthly cost of the insurance. Contact the KPG agency for a free quote to start a policy today. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1.
You're watching Viral Stream TV.
Yes, we are back live with RATOYA Gilmer Esquire, managing partner with Gilmer and Green Legal Group. We were talking about expungements and misdemeanors. So you were saying call, because you never know.
You never know. One of the things I tell people all the time is, take a chance. It was something that I'm gonna be frank. Our counterparts were using it. we just got hip to it and we're starting to use it, and it's benefits to it. Like I said, you getting jobs,
Right.
It's things you can do, and you get a second chance. And
Right.
so I know for the felonies, it's a waiting period. Have to be done with probation, and it has to be 5 years after. But we're not the only ones that host expungement clinics. They happen all the time throughout the state. I know Mississippi Volunteer Lawyers does it, Mission First, and so there are a lot of community advocates that are hosting these type of events, because we know how important it is and how much it can push us forward.
We need information.
Yes.
We just need the access to information. I hope that this show is a tool and an outlet for that. Give me your thoughts on Councilman Stokes wanting to rent jail spaces for those who commit misdemeanors. Now, we're talking about getting it expunged off your record. He wants to rent jail spaces for misdemeanors. What are your thoughts on that?
My issue, like you said, we trying to get people record expunged, and I get it. Everybody thinks, well, once somebody commits a crime, they're labeled a criminal.
Right.
But we all make mistakes.
Right.
And so my issue is, I think that's the reason for a lot of our overcrowdedness.
Yeah.
Some things that you see, shoplifting and people willing to pay the restitution, there are things people go through. I know we see it on a daily within practicing law. And so I think even using written out jail spaces, I think we think jail is always the end game.
I think it's counterproductive.
And it's not necessarily the case, just like with a lot of people with mental illnesses.
Exactly.
We see them being housed in jail when they actually need to be sent to mental facilities. And the issue is, why not address that gap?
Right.
We need more facilities. I know we need, like, there's certain things we can do. I know my sister is a social worker. Expose people when they're younger to certain fields, so we can close
Tonya.
that gap.
Right.
And so I don't think the avenue of renting jail spaces will always be the answer, or I feel like it's just a Band-Aid at that point.
I agree.
Like, address the root issue.
I agree. So what are your thoughts on Tamika Drummer? She's 46-year-old female who's been in prison since she was 34 years old, and now serving a life sentence for less than an ounce of marijuana. Now, from what I've read, it was a habitual offender. She was a habitual offender, but she's serving a life prison sentence for less than an ounce of marijuana. What are your thoughts on that?
I think now you see a lot of people pushing for criminal justice reform, and that's one of the issues we're facing all nationwide. And so one of the things I tell people all the time, education, like you said, education is key, making sure you understand things, even the fact that she's a habitual offender, but knowing and having adequate representation.
Right.
That's why I tell people all the time, we think voting for the president is the best time to vote and the only time to vote.
It's so not.
You need to vote for your district attorneys.
Yes.
You need to vote for your justices. You need to
Yes.
vote for your attorney general. You need to make sure even with the Breonna Taylor, everybody couldn't understand why the attorney general, but people serve certain roles.
Right.
And so you got to know that all things work together.
Yes.
And so within this criminal justice system, we need to educate our people so they can understand it and make sure they have adequate representation. And one of the things we've been seeing a push for is sentencing guidelines, so it can be clear all across the board.
Exactly.
Because judges do have more discretion statewide on state level than federal judges do. We do see sentencing guidelines throughout federal, but that's something that we need to see within the state, because you wonder why somebody got a harsher penalty and then somebody else, but keep in mind the judge has the discretion.
Gotcha.
And the judge is the one who's going to sentence you. And you think hey, that doesn't affect me, but it really truly does.
It does. It does. So let's talk a little bit about how you got into law. How did you decide that you wanted to do this? Was it the first choice?
Yeah, it really wasn't. I was exposed to a lot of things early on in my life. It was between becoming a lawyer. At first it was a paralegal, becoming a lawyer, a teacher, and then doing something within forensic science. And so ultimately, when I got to Tougaloo, I made the decision that, hey, I want to practice law and advocate for my people. And so now I'm 7 years in the game, and I've been enjoying it every step of the way, and I know I made the best decision for me right now.
Hold that thought. Don't forget, we are live streaming on YouTube at Viral Stream TV. Share the live stream link with your family and friends outside of the Jackson Metro. My tongue is not cooperating. Also, it is Life Insurance Awareness Month, so contact the KPG Agency for all your final expense needs, thekpgagency.com.
BDAY 99.1.
Bob knows it's never too early for a final expense policy to protect his son. Sue made sure that all their final expense policies are in place. Helen's final expense policy guarantees she won't be a burden to her daughter. Jane's mother's final expense policy covered her final arrangements and so much more. Your final expense policy can cover funeral services, medical bills, debt, and provide cash security. And there are no medical exams required. Call the KPG Agency at 601-500-2751 to set up your policy today. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. on BDAY 99.1.
You're watching Viral Stream TV.
Managing partner with Gilmer and Green Legal Group. We were talking about how you got into law, and just, it wasn't your first choice, but
No,
it kind of was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of those choices. And so I really would say it was Tougaloo. I was a part of the pre-law program. I was able to meet some, my adjunct professors were practicing attorneys. And now they're people I call on a daily basis as colleagues. They really pushed me. Even one was a judge, and even me, being a straight A student, always getting the grades and getting into that program, I was like, hey, I don't know if law school for me, you know, y'all grading kind of hard. And so they really did shape me and prepare me for what I'm doing right now. And I really have to say it's just finding something for me that would truly help me advocate for my community, bring something back. I'm from rural Hines County, Edwards, Mississippi, and it's ultimately my goal to return home and one day be mayor. And so the things I do during this time is shaping me and helping me build some relationships so I can bring those things back to my community.
Okay, well, talk a little bit about some of the community events that Gilmer and Green sponsors or puts on. Talk a little bit about that.
Of course, the expungement clinics. We've hosted one in Elwoods before. We've participated at a expungement clinic at Raphael's Church, Jackson Revival Center, which was a part of the Magnolia Bar Association. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're, of course, pushing and advocating for voter registration. And so then I volunteered both our firm, me and the firm, and Raphael with Mission First, making sure we help them meet their quota. So we've answered the phone, return calls, got additional information. We're both volunteer lawyers for the Mississippi Volunteer Lawyers Project. And we actually, if it's something that's not complex, people call our office all the time and they need help. And so one of the things when we started the firm, we wanted to make sure it was a people's firm. And so we have people that, you know, we see now older people having custody of their grandkids or their grandkids and having to register them for school and not knowing what to do. And, you know, they're normally on a fixed income. So we've taken on pro bono cases just from a simple phone call to the office and somebody not truly having the funds right then, but actually needing the help.
Well, that's amazing. Talk a little bit about, I guess, what it takes to have a successful law practice and how the practice has changed since COVID.
One thing I will honestly say is you got to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Indeed.
You have to push yourself. I know there are days where we're worn out and tired, but you still have to push yourself because, hey, you got a staff to feed. You got to feed your family. And one of the things we tell, we are really religious, and we got to put God first.
Gotta do it.
You got to put God first. But word of mouth has been a blessing to us. We treat every client as if they have $1 million cases. Even on my end with the domestic cases, every client is treated with respect. They're advised. You got to call people back.
Right.
You got to explain stuff to people. You got to take time with people. And one of the things that I can say is we've learned that people can work from anywhere. So technology has advanced. So we've been doing consultations via phone, Zoom, and even having court via Zoom sometimes. And so COVID has really shown us that the firm doesn't have to be
You don't have to be there.
You don't have to be there. You don't have to be in a building. But as long as people can reach you and you can reach people. And so truly having a successful practice has been our relationships. We have people who refer us clients. Our old clients refer us new clients. And social media. We post to social media a lot. We use our Facebook page a lot. And so that has generated some income.
Well, that's amazing. Talk a little bit about your legal approach. How would you describe your legal approach?
I think for me, me and Raph joke all the time about the compassion in our slogan, real compassion and effective. Is the compassion portion is me. Yeah. A lot of times things that I've done on the domestic side has been based on who I am and what I've been through in life. Mm-hmm. And so I can really take on what people are saying and take a listening ear and hear what they're saying through all the pain. Like I said, I deal with the matters of the heart. Even when a person comes to me with a child support issue and you thinking they're tired. You know, single parents take on a lot of burden. They're
Indeed.
frustrated, and the non-custodial parent isn't there. And so a lot of times I hear them out on the front end and say, okay, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. But this is what we're working with. This is what I can realistically get you. I don't set unrealistic goals, even with divorces. I hear you. I know you're frustrated. I know you've been the primary breadwinner. I know you've done this and that you've done that. But at the end of the day, this is what it boils down to. The dollars and the cents, this is the assets you both have, and what are you willing to lose and what are you willing to take with you. And so a lot of times they hear that once they get the opportunity to vent. And so it really truly has been a blessing I think I can put myself in a lot of people's shoes.
That is great. Thank you so much for stopping by to chat with me, RATOYA. I need that outro up, but I'm going to read it from here. I would like to thank my guest, RATOYA GILMER, for stopping by today. For more information about GILMER and Green Legal Group, visit their website at www.gglegalgroup.com or email them at info@gglegalgroup.com or give them a call at 769-208-8133. Please be sure to like and share to our YouTube channel, Viral Stream TV. The Tonya G Show streams live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Check out the kpgagency.com. We'll see you next time.
BDAY 99.1.
You're watching Viral Stream TV.
Hi, I'm Tonya G with your Insurance Minute. People buy life insurance for a number of reasons. One of the primary reasons is providing income protection for a family in the event a breadwinner passes away. Another reason is providing financial security for children should something happen to the parents. Life insurance can even be a way to offset estate taxes in large estate plans. Another reason some people buy life insurance is to save for retirement. The cash value in some permanent life insurance policies can grow tax deferred, and the cash value can be borrowed at a later date. When using life insurance as a cash savings vehicle, it is important to understand the internal fees and guarantees that are built into the policy. Life insurance should be used as a tool for financial protection in case of death. The KPG agency's focus is to provide financial protection in the most cost-effective way possible. Contact us today to start your policy. COVID has shown us life is not promised. It does not discriminate against race, gender, or age. Do you have life insurance coverage to protect you and your loved ones? Visit thekpgagency.com or call 601-500-2751 to start your policy today. Hi, I'm Tonya G. Tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Tonya G Show. Let's talk health, politics, business, and more. Interested in being a guest? Email us at viralstreamtv.com. Streaming live on Viral Stream TV on YouTube, powered by the KPG Agency. The Tonya G Show every Sunday at 2 p.m.